Where were the regulators? Where were they? The people who were supposed to be looking out for all of us. In 1999, analyst Harry Markopoulos wrote to the SEC calling Madoff Securities the world's largest Ponzi scheme, and no one listened. You can bet they were listening last month at the congressional hearing. Take a look.
One guy with a few friends and helpers discovered this thing nearly a decade ago, led you to this pile of dung that is Bernie Madoff, and stuck your nose in it, and you couldn't figure it out. You couldn't find your backside with two hands if the lights were on. Could you explain yourselves?
They couldn't. Digging deeper now, senior legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin and chief business correspondent Ali Velshi. You know, Jeff, I read Madoff's entire statement that he made in court today. Unfortunately, there were no cameras present, so we can't show it to you. And, you know, he said he was sorry and stuff, but there didn't really seem any of him in the statement. It seemed like a very lawyerly type statement.
It was very lawyerly, but there were also some very interesting clues about what might have gone on here. You'll recall that his claim is that he ran this corrupt money management business, but the trading operation run by his sons and by his brother was clean as a whistle. But in his statement, he says that 4 cents for every trades which didn't happen, went from the corrupt enterprise to the legal enterprise. Well, how could the people at the legal enterprise who were getting all this money from the fake trades not know what was going on? So even though he was trying to say his relatives had nothing to do with this, I think he raised even more questions that maybe they did.
Ali, it seems impossible that someone else in that office didn't know what was going on. I mean, I don't care if you hired functional morons. After a couple of years of making fake statements, someone would catch on to what they're doing.
Well, one of the questions that I was speaking to somebody earlier, somebody mentioned to me, what exactly was he doing? Because if he claims that he didn't make a single trade in the entire time he ran this thing, what was he doing? Crossword puzzles? I mean, clearly there was something going on there. You can't fake an entire trading operation for more than a decade. So there are some answers to be had, but the point is he had no incentive to provide any of those answers because he claims that he did all of this himself. He didn't cut a deal with the prosecution, and he's going to jail for the rest of his life. So where's the incentive to have told anybody anything? It leaves investigators with a lot of work to do, and the SEC, as you mentioned, has got quite a black eye over this one.
It was interesting in his statement, Jeffrey. He said, you know, he started this, as per his recollection, sometime in the 90s, and he thought it was only going to be for a short time during a recession, but, you know, then it just kind of escalated.
It just kind of escalated, but he left out one critical part of the story. He said, well, it just became impossible to stop. No, he was making millions and millions of dollars in this crooked enterprise. That's why he didn't stop, not because it was impossible to stop, because this was an absolutely sensational gig, which, unlike most Ponzi schemes, which tend to fall apart pretty quickly, this went on for nearly 20 years.
We're going to have to leave it there. Oh, Jeff, very briefly, is he going to spend the rest of his life in jail? I mean, is this guy going to die in prison?
That's what I don't see much alternative to that. Given what the likely sentence is, I think it's virtually certain he will die in prison.
All right, Jeff Toobin, thank you. Ali Velshi as well. Anger, outrage, you've heard it so far. Unanswered questions. Let us know what you think. Join the live chat happening now at ac360.com. Also